Hello and welcome to another edition of the Plus One interview. And today we are joined by Mr. E.J. Daniels. What is going on, sir? Oh, we gotta fix the audio, E.J. Hold on one sec.
Just do it over again. Just introduce him again.
Okay, we'll do. I'll give myself a countdown. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, folks? Welcome to another edition of the Plus One interview. And today we are joined by Mr. E.J. Daniels. What is going on, sir?
Nothing much, man. Again, I appreciate this opportunity. Appreciate you letting me on your platform. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for joining, man. We got a lot to talk about. You know, NIL is the big thing nowadays, and you are one of the advocates for NIL deals. But first, how did you, get involved with the Glory to Glory Sports Agency?
Oh, man, I always tell people my journey is just peaks and valleys, highs and lows. But the way I got with Glory to Glory is before I was doing that, I covered New Jersey high school football. And also, I did a little bit of recruiting for On3 and Rivals, covering Penn State and Rutgers. So I kind of been on NIL from the beginning. You just can't work in that space and not know what's going on every level of the collegiate side of things in terms of football. So when NIL was first, getting off the ground, a young man by the name of Mr. Antoine Hyman, who actually lived in Boston for 20 years and played professionally for 12 years. He came to Rochester, New York, and did one of the first NIL deals in the country, actually. He did it with a pizza shop in the Rochester, New York, upstate area. And after I saw that, I've been wanting to be an agent or get involved with a sports agency since I've been about like 12 to 13 years old. This is what I wanted to do. So when I seen Antoine had put that deal together, I reached out to him because there was a write-up on it. So I reached out to him, kind of explained to him what I wanted to do, and the rest is history. And now I'm sitting in front of you, talking about NIL. The journey has been quite a learning experience for me, but I'm blessed to, be a part of it and be in the space.
And that's quite the transition too, right? You're going from covering college football, high school football, writing about it, right? And now you kind of have a little idea with the players, a little background of the players, and maybe establish personal relationship with the players. To now, with with NIL, now it's more that has to be more amplified as far as like building that relationship with the players and just working hand to hand, right?
Yeah, man, it's building a relationship, through to high school sports has definitely been a blessing and made the transition to NIL a little bit easier. But to be honest with you, when I first got into it, I was met with a lot of opposition. Just because the company I was working for at the time, when I was doing the Penn State and Rutgers thing, they didn't want to be seen to like basically feeding me kids. But I had to choose basically between the two, whether to, get into the NIL space or keep doing recruiting. And so obviously, which one I chose. But definitely my background helps and makes things a lot easier. I'm able to talk to the players, especially football players, about the game, about their game, because I've been watching some of these kids since they've been in like 8th and 9th grade. Right. So the transition, honestly, my background, it made it, a little easier. But I definitely had to choose, and I'm glad that I chose, again, to be in the NIL space and bless some of these kids that I've been covering with these type of opportunities.
That's what you just said was interesting, too, because you have some of the kids you have been covering since, they're probably 12, 13, 14, right? And seeing them as they get older and older and just knowing their backgrounds for the ones you covered on a daily basis, that would have been a lot easier to make a pitch to them and their family, correct?
Yeah, it does make it easier to make a pitch. Again, like you said, I've been watching these kids from 12, 13, 14 years old. And again, you can all kind of see like where they're going to go, kind of see how they're going to matriculate in terms of Division I, Division II, Division III. And yes, it does make the transition a lot easier. And again, like I said before, I'm just really grateful to, like I said, be in a space where I can do what I love. And again, watch these kids blossom. I think the biggest joy for me too is to not only provide these kids with these opportunities, but to again see them matriculate to Power 4, Power 5 schools, and then get the ultimate blessing to see them play in the NFL. Like that was probably the most surreal moments, when you get guys that you've given deals to or you've covered, and then you see them, play on Saturdays and then play on Sundays. That's always a blessing to see, and it's like I said, it's a surreal moment.
What speaking of that, as far as players getting to the pros, how many pros have you been able to work with or get NIL deals?
Oh, I haven't actually worked with any pros at the moment. But again, like I said, just having them be able to matriculate. There was one actually, I didn't work with him, but I tried to sign him. I'll say the young man who just got drafted from the Cowboys, Donovan Arazuke, from Boston College. I tried to sign him, and it didn't work out. But again, like I said, I have been covering him too since I got to New Jersey. And like I said, just seeing him, how he got better at Boston College and then went and now drafted by the Cowboys. Like that was definitely a surreal moment.
Very familiar with Donovan. Very, very familiar with him. There's also with NIL, and we'll get deeper into this detail. But with NIL, right? How you guys make sure that you guys aren't viewed as one of those trying to exploit the student athletes, right? Because since NIL came, it was just like a wave of kids getting these NIL deals, and then we see that some of those deals didn't go through, or some of those deals weren't real deals. I mean, and then for some instances where kids were suing the school or leaving the schools, right? The instances there was an incident in Florida. Who was it? There was a young man who went to UNLV. He left because of bad
Matthew Sluka. Yep.
Right. So how are you guys just able to make sure that you guys are very transparent with the student athletes, and not, so you can avoid those type of situations where there might be some miscommunication or misunderstanding of what actually is going to happen?
I'm so glad you asked this question because it's the whole reason of why we exist. One of the things that we understand is that these colleges have been taking advantage of our student athletes for a while now, right? And it's why we have the House versus NCAA legislation that is going to pay $2.4 billion back to athletes that were not able to profit from their name, image, and likeness. And now we're in a situation where student athletes are now rev sharing with the schools directly and able to get contracts directly from the school. And to answer your question, I think the way that we try to make sure that we don't have our athletes fall into that is, again, like you said, bringing up situations like Matthew Sluka. Now, in Sluka's case, he did have an agent, but what these colleges are doing is they're giving everything and they're doing everything with a handshake, right? And everything is able to be promised verbally. And what we say to our athletes is, listen, they can promise everything that you want verbally, but they need to put it in writing. Right. And even now, with these new rev share agreements, they're still exploiting our incoming freshmen, And again, we're alerting parents and athletes to, hey, ask them early, let them see a copy of your the rev share agreements. Let them know what's in it. Making that type of awareness and telling those things again to our parents and to our athletes is one way that we stop that the exploitation process of our student athletes. But again, as we're talking about, big business college sports. And so there's still hurdles that needs to be, jumped over because the other side hasn't come to the table with collective bargaining just yet. And when that happens, then things will be able to be evened out, and we won't, have a situation where we feel like most of our student athletes, especially ones that are matriculating from high school to college, are being exploited. But again, just kind of holding these colleges accountable and wanting them to understand, hey, I want to see what's in these rev share agreements. The parents really too are a big factor too, because we have to educate them and make sure they know everything that's going on. So again, I think bringing awareness to the rev share agreements and what's being done on a collegiate level is one way we play a part in trying to make sure our student athletes don't get exploited.
Yeah, definitely. Because also, if I could remember back, I think it was like students from the Northwestern University that tried to form a union or some sort, and just so they could be able to have a better understanding and get fair deals and stuff like that. I don't think that went through or stuff, but
No.
yeah. So moving forward, like in the next couple of years, you think we'll see that happen as these kids form unions, these student athletes form unions? Anyway, and what do you think of that idea of them forming unions?
I love the fact of them forming a union. You see that obviously on the NBA level and on the NFL level, right? There's unions, to make sure that they act in the best interests, of the players in both leagues. And so I don't see why college sports shouldn't be anything different. I think what the biggest hurdle is, and what I've heard from other people is like, oh, well, these are kids. These are kids. They need to be doing this. They need to be doing that. This is an inevitable thing, and this is an inevitable side of it that's going to happen. Again, because like I just previously stated, these colleges, even though they are sharing the revenue with the players, basically what they're doing is they're buying the kids' names, image, and likeness and using it however they see fit. And then even some of them are being used in perpetuity. So having a union, being able to form a union, players associations, things of that nature, I think that's an inevitable process. Just once these parents get educated as to what is actually happening with these rev share agreements and how the colleges are sharing with the athletes, it's an inevitable thing that's coming. Actually, there's actually two women right now. I can't remember what state they're from, but they actually are introducing two bills that will give agents like a way to register, just like you do in the NFL and the NBA. So once these legislations get passed and they get, pushed, I think in terms of forming a union, in terms of forming players associations, I think those types of things will be inevitable, especially when you start getting state and legislation passed.
I think the house education here is about now. I think I see one from West Virginia about something similar, what you're talking about. But yeah, definitely that's good. And also the most important aspect also is educating the parents, right? Because you have a 5-star recruit who might be a sophomore in high school or something, an underclassman in high school. Let's just say, them agents are lurking. They're out there. They're lurking. They're prying. They got their scopes ready, right? So, how do you educate the parents to make sure they understand that the vetting process of people that are coming in to try to make deals with their kids?
So I can only speak for what we do at Glory to Glory. I don't speak for any other agent. We have actually a thorough vetting process. What we do is we first and foremost vet their social medias. As you know now, kids have to be more aware than ever of their brand, right? And so we have to make sure that the kids' brand and our brand align. As you see, we're called Glory to Glory. From that, you can see that we're a very faith-based company. God is the head of everything that we do. So again, I think that's one of the first things we do. We see if we're aligned in terms of values and what you're posting on social media. Because again, it's like your Instagram, your Twitter is like your business card for colleges and businesses alike. So again, we have to make sure, that's alignment. We also see who, like you said, who are 4- and 5-star athletes. And one of the things that separate us apart is, we have something called our Student Athletes for Change program. And what that Student Athletes for Change program does, we pair top high school athletes in all sports with local business leader for mentorship. Not only do we do mentorship, but we also offer financial literacy. Right. So I say all that to say that when you come to Glory and you see what Glory to Glory does, we're not just trying to, exploit your kid or just get money. What we're trying to do is facilitate the entire athlete. Right. We also have a situation, too, where we work with the B and C athletes. So the kids that are not 4- and 5-star athletes, we work with them and helping them with their recruiting, helping them find their collegiate fit. And a part of our program is called Expand Your Capacity. And one of the things that we do is that we kind of, help young men and women cultivate their faith. We don't indoctrinate, but if you say that you're a believer and we say that we are believers, then we kind of cultivate that situation and just have them do things like, pray 5 times a day, reading scriptures and giving back to us. So our vetting process is very thorough for 5-star, 4 and 5-star athletes, and for just, regular student athletes in general who just want to matriculate to the next level. And as far as just, educating parents, we have to educate them to show them everything that we do. Because to your point, parents just don't want to see that we just want to get a quick buck off their kid. They want to see that we're able to facilitate the entire athlete and also give them tools for their everyday life, even after they've played sports.
Definitely. Now you guys are making your way into Massachusetts, trying to get players into Massachusetts. From our conversation we had over the weekend, right? You're trying to find ways to help them with NIL deals, right? Talking about expansion, right? So what got you guys into expanding into Massachusetts and looking into the players in Massachusetts?
Yeah. So like I said, our CEO, Mr. Antoine Hyman, he lived here for 20 years, and he's always, talked about, the opportunities in Boston, the athletes in Boston, the athletes in the Massachusetts area and New England area, period. So again, we're actually credited, if you go on our Instagram page and you look, we're actually credited for doing the first NIL deal with Emilio's Pizza in the New England area. And then after that, we kind of went to New Jersey, and then we're obviously based out of New York. But, Mr. Hyman wanted to do a situation where he can get back to Boston and start taking advantage of more of these opportunities here. So that's why we're making a bigger push to get into the Massachusetts, New England area, and service these athletes, because we know it's a lot of top athletes here, basketball and football, soccer. So in a lot of top colleges here. And also, again, as a company, we just want to, make a bigger footprint in the Northeast. And again, the New England, Massachusetts area is a huge just landscape that we want to take advantage of. And so we thought that now, with a lot of businesses in the New England area reaching out to us and wanting to work with student athletes, we just thought this would be a perfect time to put our footprint and our imprint on the New England area.
Definitely, I saw, and I'm going through your Instagram page. I saw one of the things you guys had it was like a panel. I seen Detrell Jones there, former Catholic Memorial player, now at Boston College. I seen a couple other players, right? Can you explain that panel that you guys had?
Absolutely. So we had a town hall meeting as a part of what we call our ELL. Our ELL is our experiential learning lab, and that's what I was talking about, of teaching young men and women financial literacy. So a part of our experiential learning lab, we worked with a company called the Wealth Building Project. And what that Wealth Building Project did, we took 7 athletes from all different disciplines. We had 2 Olympic wrestlers. As you saw, we had a football player in Detrell Jones. We had a couple football players from New Jersey. And then we had a young man who went to Princeton by the name of Jackson Green, who is a lacrosse player and a football player. So we took all of these athletes, and we got with a guy out there by the name of John Berry, who runs, I believe it's 313 Realty is, I believe, the name of the company. And so what we did was we took these athletes and we taught them about financial literacy, and specifically what we talked about was real estate, investing in real estate, what the process looks like, what the asset manager does, what the property manager does, what are these roles, what type of roles are in a real estate company to help it move on a day-to-day basis. And so these kids were a part of a team. Not only did they become a part of a team, they actually got to go and tour a property that was owned by them and just, again, see the different aspects of it, see how it's ran. They got to also shadow these different people in these different spaces. And then what you saw was the town hall meeting where they spoke about this experience in the town hall. It was facilitated and narrated by Chris Collins, and they talked about their experience in NIL, the new landscape, and what they learned as being a part of this process. And again, just to go back to one of the previous questions you answered, these are the type of opportunities that we have for our 4 and our 5-star athletes to help them along their journey, coming into this new era of NIL and being able to, monetize your name, image, and likeness at even the youth football level, right? Understanding financial literacy, understanding budgeting, and then understanding where to put your money in this short span of time so it can grow into long-term success. Those are the type of opportunities that we present in that EL that you saw. In that case, that was what it was structured to do. And I feel like it was a successful venture.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like those type of discussions are very vitally important, especially for the young men and women, just to be up there on the stage answering questions and explaining their experience. Because you start there, that's where you start. Because as you get older, more of those opportunities are going to come. So they'll be better equipped, prepared for when they're asking to do a speaking engagement about some stuff like this. And so now when you guys are moving forward, like let them know, like if they want to know more information, please plug in the website. Let them know where they can find all the information they need.
Absolutely. So again, I appreciate this opportunity. Again, we are looking for some New England athletes who have high social currency. 4- and 5-star athletes in whatever discipline you're in, football, basketball. We're looking to be a friend and a resource to all the athletes in the New England area. So you can find us, as you see on Instagram, at Glory to Glory Sports. We're very responsive. Also, our website is G2GSA.com. And even if you want to get some education on NIL and what the landscape is and how it's moving and how it affects you, you can ask those questions too via Instagram or via our website. Also, my personal Twitter is where I'm very active. So that's at edaniels77_ on Twitter and on Instagram. And again, like I said, my DMs are open. We're looking for more New England athletes to put a part of these deals because the business community, wants to work with you guys. So again, all of those places that I just mentioned, if you have questions about NIL, you're interested in the deal, or you just want education, you hit us up on those and you will get a very quick and swift response.
Yeah, definitely. And then, I don't even know if I asked you this. Well, can you just let the audience know some of like the businesses that the team has worked with? I know you talked about Emilio's, but can you name some of the other businesses that you guys have worked with these NIL?
Absolutely. We've worked with Chick-fil-A. We've worked with Subway. We did a deal with a chain here in the New York area called Body Fuel, but there's a couple chains that they have. Emilio's Pizza, of course, as you mentioned. We also work with a bunch of car dealerships. The specific one is Cortez Auto Block, who is in Rochester, New York, just amongst another one. And then we have a situation that we're getting ready to finalize with Jimmy John's also. So we work with quite a few companies. And again, we're looking to expand and do even bigger and better things in the New England area. But those are just some of the most notable companies that we work with.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My man, appreciate you for coming by, for dropping in and just chatting with us. It's a very important thing for these student athletes to know. And man, good luck with everything, man. Much success ahead for you guys.
Thank you, man. I appreciate this opportunity for you giving me a chance to speak about what I do with NIL, speak about Glory to Glory. And I appreciate you for having me.
Right, man. Likewise. You guys have been watching the Plus One interview. That is EJ Daniels. I'm Kyle Kabongo. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.